your different time zone. It's Thursday. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. It's Friday morning, 1 a.m. in London town, and it's 9 a.m. and they're having breakfast in Tokyo, Japan. So we want to wish everybody a pleasant whatever you are celebrating, morning, noon, and night. Name of the show is called The Coffee Hour. No, that's tomorrow. Take that back. Here every Thursday, and we come here to chit chat with you each week, and we bring you some good information and have a whole lot of fun doing it. Now, we're here every Thursday as usual. We're here at this time at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So check your clocks and make sure everything is okay where you are. And of course, on the show, we get you involved. And that's the purpose of the show, to get you involved too in conversation. So what I'll do is I'll throw out a conversation as always. And then after we finish with that conversation, or if you don't like it, of course, you can say it. And actually, I'll see you right there on the big screen. I'll see you there. I will acknowledge you and I will accommodate you as well. To do that, we'll have all kinds of conversations together, and conversations range from anything from sports to politics. It's all there. So whatever you want to talk about, it's right here. I want to say hello to all of you guys who are watching on Facebook, and what you've been doing for the past this is the second week we're doing this, and all of you guys who are watching on YouTube as well. All right, we used to do this as a radio show, but I don't think that's ever going to materialize again, because we're still having those same problems. I just have a feeling Facebook is kind of like making a shift, and maybe taking things that they used to have that was beneficial to everyone that they don't have anymore. I think they kind of like did away with that, because basically, how many people do you know that do radio shows as opposed to doing TV shows? So maybe they thought maybe they weren't using. I'm going to keep checking and find out if other people get the same thing, as I did, because it's no longer happening. But listen, the show goes on. We do it any way we can. And so if we have to do it this way, we'll do it. Later on in the program, Brian Camp will be here with the latest developments in today's world of sports. He has sports update. I'm pretty sure he has a lot to talk about. And of course, later on as well, I am going to give you those rundowns of my favorite movie picks, classic movies. I love those classic movies. Classic movie picks that'll be coming on this week. I have a couple of them, and I think you're going to like them. Also, we'll run down today in history. We'll run all of that down. Plus, it's us together, too, as well. And you are involved. Of course, we want to get you involved. So I want to say hi, you guys. I see a lot of people are coming in, and on Facebook and everything. So let's get started with the show, shall we? You know how we always started, right? Maybe we don't have to do this too much longer, but in the meantime, let's do that. Let's give that hand clap, the hearty hand clap that goes out to all of the doctors, the nurses, the first responders, like the firefighters, the police officers who have been around with us and helped us a lot, and they continue to do so even after all of this pandemic is over. And they've been with us, because you remember last year how it was, right? It was terrible. And they stuck with us. They stuck with us. And a lot of them are still around to see it. And we want to thank you. And we want you to know that we really do appreciate all of you, doctors, nurses, all hospital personnel. And of course, again, the first responders, the firefighters, the police officers, all of you guys did a marvelous job so far. Now, we're still in a pandemic, and that doesn't mean we don't need you anymore. And even after the pandemic is completely over, we're still going to need you guys. All right? A lot of people, crazy people, talk about downsizing the police. That's nuts. That's crazy. We need those guys. We need them. Downsizing, no. Maybe, I don't know, upgrading them, or maybe, I don't know, give them more experience as far as working with the public, So no, we do not want to downgrade the police at all. We don't want to do any of that. We don't want to do any of that. Downsize, nothing like that. So we need those guys. We need all of you firefighters as well. By the way, you guys, you firefighters, you do a marvelous job too. I don't know that if you get the full credit as a lot of people should give you, but you do a marvelous job. When something goes down, you're right there. Of course, the police guys too. They're right there too. So anyway, those are the hand claps. That's what it's for. And now that the pandemic is kind of subsiding a little bit, we still have to tell you that while it's still here, we want to make sure we get rid of it altogether. And doing that, we have to continue to protect ourselves. Now, if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, okay, and a lot of people are still on the fence about it. They don't want to go out there and get vaccines or anything for various reasons. It could be, I don't know, it could be a lot of reasons. It could be health reasons. It could be religious reasons. I don't know, you know. And I understand that and I appreciate that, you know. But those of you who say, well, I'm not going to get vaccinated because they may put a chip in my head and try to control me. Guys, forget about it. The vaccine is safe, and the more people get it, the better off we're all going to be. We want to try to flatten this pandemic all together, crush it all together, get it the hell out of here. That's what we want to do. And for us to do that, we must continue to do what we're supposed to be doing. Now, those of you who are not vaccinated, you are urged still to conduct yourselves accordingly, continue to wear your mask, and to continue to, practice 6 feet distance. Continue to do that. It's very important. And but until you get vaccinated, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Now, those of you who have gotten vaccinated, they say now that you don't have to wear a mask. Some people are not on board with that just yet. I'm certainly not on board with it just yet. I'm taking my time. I want to take my time, and it's okay to do that. But it's good to know that you have that option to do that. If you don't want to wear your mask, you don't have to. Just this past week, they sent emails to all tenants in my building saying that we no longer have to wear the mask unless, of course, if we're fully vaccinated, we don't have to wear the mask in the building. We could, but it's always wise to carry it with you. If you're not going to wear your mask wherever you're going, like to the restaurant or the bars or anything, at least carry it with you, because there are certain places that you cannot enter without a mask. There are still a lot of places that won't allow you in. And if you're taking mass transit, please, they're not gonna allow you to do that. At least not here in New York. There's still, when you're boarding the subway, you're boarding the buses, you have to wear the mask. They're not letting you in if you don't wear the mask. And they really mean business about that. And for the first time in almost a year, over a year, and the first time over a year, guess what I did? I rode the bus. I haven't ridden the bus. Well, the subways, I don't ride too much. I could avoid that if all possible. But today I rode the bus. It was quite interesting because, like I say, little by little, you got to take your time. All the people were on there. They were wearing their masks. No fights, no nothing. Everything was good. So I see everybody's holding down the fort in that department. So therefore, again, if you're fully vaccinated, that's good. There are 3 vaccines out, on the market. And if you're a J&J, which is Johnson and Johnson, well, you only need 1 dose of that. That only requires 1 dose. But for the rest of you who are taking Moderna or maybe Pfizer, that requires 2. Now, understand something. There was a time when you had to make an appointment to take vaccinations. And it seems now that so many people are taking it now, it's gotten to the point where I don't think you no longer have to be a call on, on an appointment. You can just go right in, drop right in, and just say, hey, I want to get vaccinated. Because there are many places, if you don't know about it, we can tell you about it. But I'm pretty sure in your area, there's the pharmacist, and I'm pretty sure your primary doctor, if he has supplies of it, he'll be able to do it for you. And you have to ask around. But if you don't know where to go, well, there's a number. If you look up in my subject area, up there, if you're watching Facebook, look up in the subject area, over here, over there, down here, however you're watching this. Or if you're watching on YouTube, look in the chat area at the very top. Because the same information I give the people on Facebook, I give the people to YouTube, the same information. Now, that information, I'll tell you, you see it, it's... look up there, it has all the information up there. It has the name of the show, today's date, so forth and so on. And of course, it has my information, my email address, and my telephone number, which, by the way, you're always welcome to use it anytime you like. If you want to make comments or suggestions about the show, or maybe even just to say hello, it's right there. Underneath that, you see it right there. It says COVID-19 test, right? COVID-19 test, and right next to it is a telephone number, as you can see. I'll say the number for you if you like. It's no problem. That number is 718-638-7682. Now, that's a New York local. That's a local New York number. And but I'm pretty sure anywhere around the world, you dial that number, they'll give you some kind of roadmap on where you can get it. But more than likely, you already have a local number in your area. You have your own area where you have your own number that suits you, and you can get information, and all of those numbers will give you the same information that you need. They'll answer questions about COVID-19, any questions that you may have. They'll let you know, what are the symptoms to look out for, and so forth and so on. You'll also get information on where to get the test. And those of you who are not vaccinated, we continue to ask you to get those tests. Make sure that you stay on the up and up. If you're healthy, that's good. Those of you who are already fully vaccinated, I guess there's no need for it unless, of course, you get some kind of symptoms. And if you do, please, do that. The tests are free, and it only takes 5 seconds. It's just that simple, And so the information on those numbers, you call a number in your area, the number I just gave you, or the local number in your area. And all you have to do is just tell them that, you want to get vaccinated or you want to get the test, where should I go? And they have all that information. It's just a matter of giving them your area code. And once you do that, then your area code, your zip code, I should say. Area codes for the phone, but the zip code. And they could say, okay, you're there, and you're about 5 minutes away from a center nearest you. They'll tell you. Now, in New York City, we're broken down to 5 boroughs, And of course, there's Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, and Staten Island. You have all of those boroughs, but realize, because you live there, it doesn't mean that you have to go to another borough to get vaccinated or to get the test. Right in your area, all you have to do is give them your zip code. Let's say, for instance, I live in Staten Island. Okay, what's your zip code? Okay, you give them the zip code, and they say, okay, there's one nearest you, and I'll tell you where that is. They'll give it to you, and you just go there. Unless, of course, you want to just go out of your borough just for the heck of it. All right. Now, once you get that information on where to get the test, just walk right in there and see what they say. Just say, I can't guarantee you that you'll get it, because I think there may be some places still require an appointment to get it. But when you get that information, either call them or walk right in there and say, hey, can I get vaccinated? Do I have to have an appointment? They can give you that over the phone. And this way it'll save you a trip. So, with all of that information you'll get, and it'll show you. It'll give you information on where to get the test. Now, in New York City, we also have another number called 311 number. That's an exclusive number from New York City. That's a big number, because that number, and even when the tourists come into town, they could use that number too, because that gives you information about New York. Anything that you want to know about New York. The happenings, the museums, the nightclubs, the restaurants, the bars, and all of those bistros, and all of those places, right? All you have to do is just call them and say, I want to find out about that. Also, if you have a complaint about something, you see something that's not looking too good on the street, and your cell phone is next to you, call 311, say, hey, I got a little problem here. Send someone over, and maybe they can fix it. If you have a broken street or something, or something like that, you can also call them for that. If you have a nuisance of a neighbor that lives upstairs on you, that's always stomping and throwing parties all night long, and you want to get rid of that, and your management is not willing to do anything or unable to do anything, call them. Yeah, that's 311. So New York, it's loaded. It's all loaded. So we thank you, and we advise you to stay safe and stay healthy. Well, as you know, we lost a few people in show business. You heard about that. Actor Gavin MacLeod, remember him? He was Captain Stubby on The Love Boat, right? Captain Stubby on The Love Boat. And also he was on Mary Tyler Moore. Well, he passed away this week at the age of 90. And we lost him. That's a ripe year. That's a long life. And he just passed away this week. So we want to Wish him, his family, all of his colleagues that knew him and loved him, and all the people who act with him, our condolences. Also, singer B.J. Thomas. Remember that raindrop keeps falling on my head? Well, he was the one that made. He was the one that made that one famous. And B.J. Thomas passed away this week as well. He passed away at the age of 78 from lung cancer. So our condolences out to B.J. Thomas and all of the other thing, all of those. That's it. Our condolences. Brian Camp is on the line right now, direct from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's here with us with the latest developments in today's world of sports. Brian, how goes it?
It's 77 degrees out here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
You're rubbing it in.
Nice and warm. As the sun is, you can still see the sun going down, and it was a beautiful evening. It was mostly overcast and cloudy. It had some rain, some spotted rain showers, but as the afternoon went on, it started clearing up, so we had a beautiful day. When you're talking about people that passed away, famous lawyer F. Lee Bailey had passed away.
I didn't hear that.
What was that?
I didn't hear that. When was?
Yeah, it came across around 8:40. It was 6:45. I saw it popped up on my CNN app on my phone that he had passed away. Didn't read all the details, but as you know, he's both famous for many court that he had represented, and the most recent famous one was the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yeah.
So he has passed away.
Wow.
You'll get more details. Probably see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or tonight when you can get off. But definitely Bailey passed away.
Wow. Thanks for that information.
But, fine lawyer, great lawyer.
Yeah. Thanks for that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sports, NCAA men's basketball, Duke basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski, who is the winningest coach in Division I men's basketball history, has led the Blue Devils to 5 national championships in 41 seasons, plans to retire after the 2021/22 season. Associate head coach John Shire, who played for Coach K from 2006 to 2010, will be Coach K's successor. When asked about why is he retiring, he said it's about that time. He wants to move on over, and 74 years old, so he wants to spend some time with his family. So he's retiring. Legendary coach. He has more wins than any other coach in college basketball history. Now, guess what's coming back? Guess what's coming back? Yes, football's coming back. But remember the USFL, the United States Football League?
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's returning. It's returning in the spring of 2022. Nearly 40 years later, the USFL is planning to make a major comeback. The USFL was originally debuted in 1983, but only lasted 3 seasons. The league launched its careers such as Herschel Walker, Reggie White, Jim Kelly, many others as well, too. So the reason why it only lasted for 3 years, it had no hard salary cap that led to unsustainable payrolls that contribute to the league's destruction. Eventually shutting down in 1986, the USFL voted to move from the spring to the fall to eventually compete with the NFL, and that did not work out, as you know. The NFL is very powerful, and so now they are defunct, but they're now coming back. They're coming back next year, so let's see what happens. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics announced that longtime president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge, is retiring. Coach Brad Stevens is leaving the sidelines to replace Danny Ainge as president of operations. Stevens spent 8 seasons as coach, and Danny Ainge played 14 seasons with the Celtics and 14 seasons as president of operations job. Major League Baseball, Mike Marshall, who became the first reliever to win the Cy Young Award when he set a major league record by pitching 106 games in a season for the LA Dodgers, has died. He was 78. He was given to hospice care. His daughter did not give a reason for the death. So our prayers and condolences to the Marshall family. Boxing. There's a ton of boxing coming up between this weekend and for the next month or so. Evander Holyfield, Hall of Fame heavyweight weight and former champion, has been retired since 2011. Will return to the ring on June 5th. That's this Saturday in an 8-round exhibition against Kevin McBride at Marlins Park, Miami, Florida. The event will be streamed on Triller. Holyfield is 58, is hoping to secure a victory and may be fighting Iron Mike Tyson. McBride, who was 47, is best known for his 2005 knockout win over Mike Tyson, a loss that sent Mike Tyson into retirement. 5 times world champion Floyd Mayweather, who's also still undefeated, who's retired, will return to the ring to fight YouTube sensational turned boxer Logan Paul at Rock Stadium in Miami on June 6th, which is on Sunday, which is the next day of the June 5th fight. That will be on pay-per-view. There will be no judges allowed, but knockouts will be allowed. So Logan Paul is supposed to be a favorite of you two will be fighting. Not only Logan Paul, but his brother Jake Paul will meet a former UFC champion Tyrone Woodley in a boxing match late this summer, slated for August 28th. Several host cities are under consideration. So his brother's fighting, and they've both been in the ring, and they have a history of boxing experience, but they're not professionals. But they're taking their talents into the ring against professional fighters. And former NBA champion and player Lamar Odom, who is famous for his marriage to wife Khloe Kardashian, will step in the boxing ring to fight Aaron Carter in a 3-round celebrity boxing match at the Showboat Casino in Atlantic City. Now, Odom has been training since he signed a deal in January. Odom who was 41, and Carter's 33. He has an advantage in height, being 6'10". Odom mentioned that he has always trained in boxing, even when he was playing professional basketball for the LA Lakers. There's a strange rumor that Mike Tyson told TMZ that he will fight Lennox Lewis, former heavyweight champion, sometime in September of 2021, but nothing was confirmed. So a lot of boxing is coming, and we'll hope to see it soon. So, there's a lot of sports coming up. June 3rd, this day in sports. In the year 1851, the first baseball uniforms worn when the New York Knickerbockers were a uniform of straw hats, white shirts, and blue long trousers. That was before my time, but that's what they used to wear back then. And speaking of which, fans they used to wear suits and hats and
yep.
To these baseball games.
That's right.
See these old pictures. That's what they used to wear. In 1937, Josh Gibson hit a home run just 2 feet below the rim of Yankee Stadium. It was estimated 580-foot drive. So that was some shots. That was an exhibition game because, as you know, back then Josh Gibson was playing in the old Negro League. Baseball was segregated, so it was an exhibition game. So he hit a home run in famous Yankee Stadium. In 1955, Stan the Man Musial hit his 330th career home run. In 1980, Darryl Strawberry drafted by the New York Mets as the #1 draft choice. In 1989, legendary sportscaster Vin Scully broadcast 23 innings in two different cities in one day. Ask me how he did that. I have no idea. And in 2018, Stephon Curry breaks Ray Allen's NBA Finals record for most three-pointers with 9. And today's birthday, on June 3rd, Billy Cunningham, Hall of Fame forward, coach, and player, born in Brooklyn, is celebrating a birthday. And in 1986, Rafael Nadal won his 20th Grand Slam singles title. And I don't like to report on deaths, but this day, one of my idols, one of my role models and favorite people, who I consider as a role model, the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, dies of a respiratory illness at the age of 74. Mm-hmm. May he continue to rest in peace. And that's sports.
You know, I saw all of those items that you just read off, but I said, you know what? I used to do them. But I said, no, Brian seems to get, I think you and I get it from the same source. I
believe so, yeah.
I just leave all the sports alone. Mm-hmm. I said, because I know you're going to come up with it, because remember, we had a repeat one time, remember? And I said, well, yes. From now on, I'm not going to mention any sports, and you do that. Yeah, and we were talking about the days of when people used to wear suits, and the old ladies used to wear those billowed gowns, those long gowns, and those wide hats to the games, things like that. They don't do that anymore. They used to wear top hats. Yeah. I mean, even early, when you go way back in time, like in the 1800s, they used to wear top hats at the games.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
I guess back then it was more of not so much of just a baseball game, but it was just an event that people went to. You know, it wasn't no night game.
Yeah.
It was just day games. But it was they usually go out, I guess, Saturday or Sunday afternoon
after church or something.
To day games. Yeah. Used to wear those clothing. They look like women from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, exactly. What is going on in the NBA? And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about these fans. I mean, people are throwing ice bottles and water bottles and popcorn. And I mean, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've been following that. And, it's an unfortunate thing. One person threw some popcorn at Russell Westbrook. Somebody threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving, which, that was a big debate. I was on a big debate. They laughed at it, said that is used as, he was being charged for a deadly weapon. Well, you know what? They all laughed at that on social media. And I chimed in. I said, you ever got hit from a water bottle from the second deck up? The farther you up, and the farther you just throw it on it with a full bottle of water, the force is coming straight down in full force. That could really injure somebody, and people don't realize that. And it makes you understand why these athletes do not want to sign autographs.
Yeah.
Because people, the fans, that think, oh, he's so snobbish, he don't want to sign up. Well, when you act like this, and you throw things and you jump on the court and touch a backboard, fans are crazy. Now, I know back in the 70s and 80s, there was this woman, I forget her name, she used to come onto the baseball field, and she used to go on in with her big boobs, her big breasts, and start kissing the athletes and everything, Well, that's fine and dandy, but she could, she's not supposed to come onto the field. They have to protect the players. They got to protect the athletes.
Yeah.
And they just don't get it. And this is why athletes don't want to sign autographs, and the fans just don't get it. Especially you just coming back from a pandemic and you're acting like this. It just doesn't make sense. Just sit down, watch the game. You can boo.
Yeah.
You can cheer.
Yeah.
You have that right. You pay, but you have no right.
Yeah.
Put your hand on an athlete.
Yeah.
Put your hand on nobody. You can yell out and call names and everything. And sometimes the names could be very harmful. They talk about, your wife, your personal your children, and but not, and then at any time you're not supposed to throw or to touch any athlete, because if an athlete touches you, then they, believe it or not, they get in trouble for going into the stand.
Yeah. What about that kid that rushed the court, got on the court, and they got he didn't get too far on the court, but they pulled him off. Officers pulled him off and escorted him out of the arena.
Yes,
But
this was,
and then he
I
raised
believe
his
this was
hand
the
in victory,
Philadelphia
like he did.
76ers game,
Yeah,
where he got on the court and just touched the backboard. He jumped up and touched the backboard.
yeah,
He got arrested immediately.
yeah. I mean,
We've seen this over decades of fans going onto the field naked.
yeah,
They run on the field naked and they get arrested. Now, what they do is what they don't show, the cameras do not show them, because they don't want to give them their 2 minutes of fame on television. So what they do on baseball, the announcers say, "Oh, well, we got to stop the chin to action.
yeah.
We will not show this, of course."
Right.
There's a fan that's
Right.
coming onto the field,
Yeah.
and you just see the players,
Yeah.
but you don't see the actual per person. So
Yeah.
it's an unfortunate thing, and they get arrested, and nothing really happens to them. They just get a fine, and that's it. In some cases, if it's really severe enough, they'll be banned for life for coming to a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and back in the early days of baseball, like in the 1960s, when I used to go as a kid, go to Yankee Stadium, and you call the player, they wouldn't answer you. They weren't allowed to back in those days. They're a little more free now, but back in those days, if you call, you could be that close to a player and he won't talk to you. And but maybe they should bring that back. Maybe they should bring that back. But we're so angry. We're an angry bunch of people. We're angry. All of us are angry. I don't know what it is, to the point where you have to throw bottles and popcorn at the player, and then you got all of these people. I mean, I can go on and on. I can go back to the assaults in the Asian community. Which I'm going to talk about, in a few minutes. But we're a bunch of angry people. This society is angry. I don't know why.
Yeah,
we hate each other.
Yeah, and then the fans like to spill beer. Why would you want to spill a beer? Prices are so high for a beer. You see a home run going over the fence, and one guy actually had a cup full of beer and tried to catch it with his beer cup, and with the beer inside of it, knocks it out of his hand, and then throw it back at the player. I just don't get it.
I don't know.
If it was my beer, I'm not throwing my beer away.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer anymore, but if it was my beer,
yeah.
Especially a Heineken. No, maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, but I don't want to promote it. But you don't throw beer or alcohol and food at players and water. It's just it's unsafe.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we had a lot to talk about. It was well worth talking about, but we'll see you tomorrow on the coffee hour. Okay?
Sounds good. See you then.
See you then. Have a great evening. Okay, that was Brian Camp. That was a great conversation right there with Brian, talking about sports. And he comes with us every week with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update, and he will be with us tomorrow on the Coffee Hour. In case you're just joining us, the name of the show is called Talk Back Live. My name is Frank Allan. I'm with you every Thursday at this time, and I'm glad that you're with me. I want to say hello to Sheila Simmons out there. Sheila, are you still there? She was out there sitting out there for a while. I don't want to, leave the show without saying hi to her. Sheila is celebrating her birthday. Well, she celebrated her birthday yesterday. And Sheila, did you get the message I sent you? I sent you a birthday greeting on Facebook. I didn't forget it. So happy birthday to Sheila. Sheila was the wife of one of my dearest friends, the late Skip Mitchell, who's a marvelous singer, a great guy, had a great career in singing. And so happy birthday, Sheila. And Stephen LeBeau. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork. Where you been, Stephen? Gee whiz. Stephen LeBeau is out there. And a lot of you other people out there saying, if you want to say hi, you can say hi too. I thank you so much for joining us here on Talkback Live. And of course, it's 25 minutes, coming up to 25. It's 20, coming up to 25 minutes to the hour. And so we'll be here up until the top of the hour. And of course, as I say, if this is your first time watching this show, which is it used to be a radio show, but Facebook doesn't. I don't know what the deal with Facebook anymore. But if you're just joining us for the first time, join us every week at this time. We're here, and we're going to continue to do the show. And if you have anything to say, if you have any, you want to lay out some kind of information out there that will help us and that you think that we may enjoy, that will be beneficial to everyone, please don't be afraid. We're not going to bite you. But I thank all my friends for being out there. I don't know if Sheila is still there, but I hope that it gets back to her that I did wish her a happy birthday. And Steve LeBeau, thank you for joining me too. Okay, so there you go. Anyway, let's see, what do we have right now? Okay, let's talk about on this day in history. In 1943, a mob of 60 from the Los Angeles Naval Reserve Armory, they beat up everyone perceived as Hispanic, starting a week-long Zoot Suit riot. On this day in history, 1959, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, he roots Canadian Premier Dyfin Baker, I believe his name is, and a message on off the moon. Don't get it, but that's this day in history. In 1961, JFK, John F. Kennedy, and Nikita Khrushchev, they meet in Vienna. On this day in history, in 1962, WBKO TV, Channel 13 in Bowling Green, Kentucky, an ABC affiliate, starts their brand new broadcast. On this day in history, in 1964, Ringo Starr collapsed from, would you believe this? Tonsillitis? Is that true? Can you do that? Can you collapse from that? Unless it's something else along with it. I don't know. In 1964, the Rolling Stones, they began their first U.S. tour with Bobby Goldsboro and Bobby V. And 1967, Aretha Franklin's Respect reaches #1, obviously. In 1968, Poor Man's People March happened in Washington, D.C. In 1968, American radical feminist Valerie Solanas attempts to assassinate Andy Warhol for shooting him 3 times, and she is later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and she pleads guilty to reckless assault with intent to harm, and she served up the 3 years, had a 3-year sentence there. In 1969, the last episode of Star Trek aired on NBC. In 1980, Jimmy Carter wins enough delegates to be renominated. In 1981, Pope John Paul II released from the hospital after assassination attempt. In 1985, Larry King debuts on CNN, airing each weeknight through December 2010. And in 1988, Big is a film that was directed by Penny Marshall, starring Tom Hanks. It premiered in the U.S. And in 2003, Danielle Steele her novel Sunset in the St. Topaz is published. In 2014, President Barack Obama announces his plan for a $1 billion fund to increase deployment of U.S. troops to Europa. I love that. That's the fancy way of saying Europe. Europa. 2020, the year 2020, that was just last year. 3 former, and this is current news, actually, is 3 former police officers charged with the connection with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Derek Chauvin was charged. His charge was upgraded to 2nd-degree murder. And by the way, speaking of that, while we're on the subject of that, this is June, so this month, the 25th of this month, there should be a sentence for Derek Chauvin. We'll see what happens with that. Remember Josephine Baker? Yes, she was a legend in her own time. Josephine Baker was born on this day in 1906 in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where she was born. She passed away April 12th, 1975 at the age of 68, and she died from cerebral hemorrhage. Tony Curtis, the legendary actor, was also born on this day in 1925 in New York City, and he passed away September 29th in 2010 at the age of 85. Okay, we go back to 1929. Actor and naval officer of World War II, the legendary Douglas Fairbanks Jr. He gets married to Joan Crawford at St. Malachy in New York City. In the year 2001, writer and actress Tina Fey, she appeared, of course, on Saturday Night Live. She weds Saturday Night Live composer Jeff Richman on a Greek Orthodox ceremony, a Greek Orthodox ceremony on at the Marion Tribute House in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 2006, actor Ben Affleck's youngest brother, also an actor, yeah, he's an actor. His name is Casey Affleck. Well, he gets married to model Summer Phoenix in McIntosh County, Georgia. And back in 1975, Oswald, which is Ozzy, and his real name, Oswald, but we know him as Ozzie Nelson of Ozzie and Harriet, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet back in the 50s. He passed away from cancer at the age of 69, back in 1975. So much going on in history. Okay, so now, Ayatollah Khamenei, the Ayatollah Khamenei, right? Died on this day in 1989 at the age of 86. And his deal was the heart attack. He died from a heart attack. And let's see. Here's something that I'm going to mention. I don't know if Brian, no, he didn't mention it. So since he didn't mention it and it's on the list here, I'm going to mention Jimmy Pearsall. Back in the year 2017. I don't even know if Brian remembers Jimmy Pearsall. I mean, I took him to some of the games and some of the Met games, and he appeared there. Jimmy Pearsall was the American baseball outfielder back in 1954 to 1956. Okay, this is the year. An All-Star 1954, 1956 is bipolar disorder, which there was a big problem back there. And there was even a book about it, a movie that was done with Anthony Perkins, and that was called Fear Strikes Out. It was a great movie. I'd like to see that movie again. Anyway, he died at the age of 87. And so that's how it is in this day in history. And that will be the last time, whether Brian says it or not, the last time I will mention a sports figure. And Brian is going to take care of all of that from now on. I just figured I'd do that. I had the Muhammad Ali thing down there, but Brian already mentioned that, so I'm staying away from all the sports. So anyway, that's it on this day in history. That's how it goes. Thank you guys so much for being along with us. Just in case you're just joining us, it's Talkback Live with yours truly, Frank Allan. And of course, we're 16 minutes to the hour. And the time is going fast when you're having a lot of fun. And I see more people are coming in, so I want to thank you guys for being here with us, and thank you for chatting with us as well. All of you guys on Facebook, and all of you watchers, you viewers, say viewers and watchers or listeners, whatever you want to call them. They're also on YouTube, and we're here every week. So we simulcast on Facebook Live and on YouTube too. So in case you can't make one, there's always the other. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, so Brian and I were talking about angry people and sports and these people who throw bottles and bricks and all of these things that go on. And I got to tell you, that just leads me to say there are so many things that people are angry. We're angry at each other. We hate each other. And it seems that even though the pandemic is going down, things are starting to take shape, and that's when things are starting to really surface. What about all of those shootings, those mass shootings? They're happening every day. You heard about them on the news. I mean, I kind of lost track of them all. You got those mass shootings going on, killing people, killing babies. You know, this past week, and I only say it this past week because it would happen here in my hometown of New York City. This past week in Chinatown, some cuckoo guy, some lame brain, sucker punched a 55-year-old Asian woman in the street in Chinatown. But the good news was that he was arrested on the spot. They got him. They got him arrested on the spot. And may you rot in hell, you bum. I don't understand people. I really don't understand people. And you know something, it got to the point where, you have to always be on your guard. And you don't have to be Asian to be attacked. You can be black, you can be white, you could be all of that. And it got to the point, and I hate to really do this, but it got to the point every time I walk down the street, I stay distant to an oncoming person. I kind of stay distant, keep my distance, because I don't know what's going to happen. I try to be ready for whatever's about to happen. And I hate to do that because I like people. I love people so much. I like getting close to people. But it got to the point now when I'm walking down the street and I see someone coming ahead of me, I try to keep the distance. Try to keep the distance, because if someone is going to sucker punch me, it's going to give me enough time to see them coming so I can react. And so you got to be very careful. You got to keep your distance from people who are no good to you. And I hate to do that and I hate when I see people and I see other people who look like they're vulnerable people. I try to keep distance. Not that I'm afraid they're going to come to get me, but I don't want to fear them. I don't want them to think, well, here comes another crazy guy. Of course, we're all a little crazy. I'm a crazy in a nice, fun way, but not in a cuckoo way. But things are just happening too much, and they're giving out guns like they're giving out candy. That's the way I look at it. And people, they say, oh, well, it's the Third Amendment. That's the Third Amendment. We don't want that violated. Nobody's violating. The only thing that we want to do is get rid of these people with problems for owning guns. What happened to the old days? Everyone has a right to bear arms. That's in the Third Amendment. We all know that. But they don't want to go as far as looking at the people or checking people and finding out, should we give this guy a gun? Is he eligible to get a gun? Is he sane enough to have a gun? Now most people, sane people, people who are, I guess, professional people. There are a lot of professional people who own guns. They talk about it. Personally, you're never going to know if I own a gun or not. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that. A lot of people, they say, oh yeah, I'm a gun owner. So what? You would never know. I would never tell you if I own a gun or not. That's one of my private things. I would never tell you that. But a lot of people do brag about it. Say, yeah, I own a gun. So I kind of get leery of those kind of people. Yeah, I own a gun. Yeah, I just went into a Macy's and I got me a gun on sale. That's how easy it is to get a gun. Now we know that in Texas, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry, Kevin. It is the Second Amendment. I got that wrong. It is a Second Amendment. And so, people are going in, the Walmart or wherever they sell guns. Didn't they sell guns at Walmart at one time? Didn't they sell guns there? Maybe they still do. I don't know. You can buy a gun. They don't question you. They say, well, I recommend this. It's a great gun. You shoot 6 rounds. It's a nice 6-shooter. Nice gun. They want to get, all you have to do is give them money. Give them money. They won't even do any background checks. They used to do background checks. They don't do background checks anymore. And I'm sorry to say this. But I understand that the Republicans are deep on the Second Amendment, and I get it. But why don't they want to work to help get these crazies off the street, get all of the guns that a lot of people don't deserve to have? Why don't they get them off the street? I got to tell you, folks, between the Republicans and the Democrats, I got to tell you, both parties are screwed up. Both parties are screwed up anyway. But between the two, right? We're trying to get things set here. Oh boy, golly gee, I can't wait. I can't wait for that marvelous day in August. You know what I'm talking about. I can't wait to August. so we can get Biden out of that. I can't wait to August so we can get Biden out of that White House. That's a joke. That's a joke. Anyway, I don't. We ought to work together. Because look, something. There is a problem between the Democrats and the Republicans. There's no question about that. All right, and but I have never seen such a division. There's more division in the Republican Party than there is in the Democratic Party. Look at listen. All you have to do, you want the House, you want the Senate back. Here's how you do it. I'm not a party person. I'm my own person. I'm an independent person. So I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I was Democrat. I came up in a Democratic household, but I'm neither one. Here's how you want the report. You want it back. You want it back. Here's what you do. Be bipartisan. Be bipartisan. Just because someone says something that you don't like, and you say, "Oh no, I don't like that person, so I'm not going to work with them." See, we need two parties. We need both parties. Don't you understand that? We need the Republican Party and we need the Democratic Party. We need both parties. We need both parties. You don't like each other, that's okay. Maybe they never did like each other. But at the end of the day, when the days of Eisenhower and all of those people back in those days, of course, there was always a difference between the two. There was always butting heads. But at the end of the day, if a Republican got into the White House, Democrats came along and supported that Republican so-called leader. If a Democrat got into it, vice versa. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't about the party. It wasn't about Republican. It wasn't about Democrat. It was about the USA. So USA, USA, say it, USA, USA. A lot of people shout those, chant those, USA, USA. What are you chanting? What does it mean? USA, USA. You got a cigar for me, Kevin? I feel like a smoke. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and the young people, I need the young people, if you're watching, I need you to listen very carefully. I know you're trying to, and I know the young people are proactive. They're out there, they're trying to make things work. I admire the young people. They're out there trying to make things work. But as soon as they're out there protesting, they have the right to do it. Like any other American, any other red-blooded American, they have a right to go out and protest, if they feel that something's not right, they have a right to do it. All right. When I was coming up in the 60s, we protested. Sure, we got hit by the cops, billy clubs and all of that. We got that, but we were protesting. We weren't doing anything wrong. We didn't fight the cops. We didn't do any of doing that. The only time they got out of line if you got out of line with the cop. But they sat there while you protest. They stood there and watched. They just want to see if everything is orderly. Today is nothing's orderly. And it seems to me that disorderly seems to be the normal now. I mean, hey, I'm old enough to remember January 6, 2020. I'm old enough to remember that. And so if this is the road that we're taking, then that means this country is going to stay exactly where it is. And this is the greatest country in the world. Everyone wants to be here. Why do you think people come here? Because they get nothing in their country like what we get here. Nothing. And you guys know that. This is a land of opportunity. Of course, sometimes you have to kick in the window, knock down the door to get in. That's part of presenting yourself. And I don't mean literally kick in the door, just, you let people know, yeah, I can do that job. Yeah, that's my job. I want that job. I'm good for that job. And if you know you're good for it, you keep going at it. Sometimes you have to do that to get over. And then, if it doesn't work there's always someplace else to go. That's the good thing about this country. There's always someplace else to go. And you can do it. And I worked until up in retirement. And I just keep working. I worked my tail off. And everybody, all of you guys, you work your tail off. You're working your tails off now. Those of you who are not retired, you're working your tails off now, you know, and you should get back something for that. And this is not the way to do it, kicking windows and knocking doors and hurt people and shoot people, tase people, you know. Okay, I'm off the soapbox. I'm off the soapbox. You know why? Because it's time to it's time to tell you about the movies. All right, I love all of those classic movies. Hey, by the way, if you have anything to say about that, you know, please feel free. We can talk about it. Let me take time to talk about the movies here. All right. Everything, you know, I do everything on Turner Classic Movie. Turner Classic Movies, they are the best. I love the old black and whites. And so coming on this week, here's something that I think you're going to like. Here's something, Lily of the Field, back in 1963 with Sidney Poitier, one of my favorite actors back in his day. It comes on TCM. It comes on Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm going to definitely watch it. I saw it about 1 billion times, but I never get tired of watching it. You make a chapel, I make a chapel. You build a chapel, I'll build a chapel. You'll like it. Also, here's another one that I think you're gonna like. Back in 1961, another Sidney Poitier movie with Paul Newman and Joanne Woodworth and who else? Diane Carroll. Paris Blues. Remember Paris Blues? 1961. And old Satchmo, yeah, was in there. Satchmo. Louis Armstrong. They were all in there. Paris Blues. It was filmed in the UK, and that was back in 1961. That comes on Turner Classic Movie as well, Sunday night. You sit back, pop some popcorn, and sit back and relax at 10:15 p.m. And that's Eastern. You know, all of the times I give you is Eastern. So you got two great movies, and Sidney Poitier is in two of those movies. You have Lily of the Field back in 1963. That's Sunday. That's 4 p.m. Eastern, and Paris Blues with Sidney Poitier, of course, Paul Newman, Joanne Woodworth, Diane Carroll, Louis Armstrong. That's coming on as well. That's 10:15 p.m. Eastern Sunday, and those are my picks. Now, if you don't like those, you could still go and check the TV guide. You know, the guide. And you could look on TCM and see there are other movies too that you may like, that you may remember. But those were just two of my picks that I think you would like, that I recommend that you watch. And you could check out all of those other movies. And you can go down the line. You can go even further than that. If you're a subscriber to cable, you could also go to demand. And they have so many great movies on demand, the classic movies. They have update movies, you know, movies that's been in the theater not too long ago. And of course, you have all the networks, and you can watch some of the shows that you might have missed on the networks. Oh, there's a lot of things to do over the weekend, you know. And if the weather is nice, you can do a lot of outdoor things. Listen, I'm here to help out here. You know, I'm here to help out, make sure that you have a great weekend, and whether you're watching movies or just doing whatever you're doing, it's all here. So we want to thank you. And I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a gas. It's been a gasser, man. Swinging, baby. It's been a gas. I want to thank you guys for being with all you guys Facebook, YouTube. Thanks for watching. All of you guys who didn't say anything, that's okay. Thank you, anything. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Stephen, Brian. We'll see you tomorrow with sports. Kevin Briscoe. Thank all of you guys for being along. That's going to wrap it up for me. But before I go, don't forget to check out my podcast, The Blue Cafe. I have, once you go there, you go up there, you see, if you're watching Facebook, up in the section up there, you see it up there at the very bottom, this Blue Cafe, and they have the direct link. If you're watching on YouTube, up there in the chat area, down at the bottom, the direct link. I have 3 great interviews with Bobby Rydell and Jimmy Clampton and Bobby Wilson. I have more on the way. It's a little slow, but we're going to be working on it. We'll be back here tomorrow, too. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the coffee hour. Brian Camp will be with me along with DJ Pete for the 2020 feature. Brian with sports, DJ with entertainment news, and you and me and all of us together. Other than that, meet me back here tomorrow. Next week, right here for Talk Back Live. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook Live and Facebook Live TV. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. morning, good evening, and we'll see you back here next week. You take care of yourself. God bless you all.